Hey, this is Chaz West from Westbound, and you're watching CMS TV. Rock on!
It's Reverend right here on your classic metal show with another form of greed, and that obviously features the vocalist David Wayne, and another band who featured David Wayne, of course, is Metal Church, which kicked off the show tonight with the Gods of Wrath, and God of Wrath coming to the mic is my good friend and partner Chris Aiken. What's going on there, Chris?
What is up, Chief? How we doing?
We're back on a 4th of July weekend. Just enjoying the time off for myself. I know you don't commute to a job outside the house, so I'm not sure if this affects you much at all.
Not a whole lot, but I did venture out on the 4th, so
What?
that's something. Yeah, what? I know. I put the computer down and went and did something.
I thought you said you weren't leaving the house anymore because you get sick if you leave the house.
I try not to, but you get offered a home cooked meal, you're out.
Well, good for you. So here we are. I'm enjoying a 4-day weekend and, just hanging around the house here and doing some pride of ownership house duties.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. Well, I did. I had it planned. It's something I needed to do. And my nephew came over yesterday to help me replace the storm door on the front of my house.
Okay.
I've had it in my garage since February. And, since it was a long weekend, I said, hey, can you come over and give me a hand with this? So he came over, brought me a bottle of whiskey.
That's nice.
And we worked together, put a new storm door on the house. And then I took him out and we had prime rib.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, so I celebrated my 4th by hanging out with my nephew a little bit and doing man things, listening to metal, working with our hands like men, and then eating a slab of meat and talking about chicks and guns.
The good stuff.
Yeah, so we did man things, unlike the faggots that are I don't know, celebrated today.
There's a lot of that going around.
Oh, I know there is. Trust me. Everywhere I look anymore, it's just effeminate males everywhere I look these days.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of gayness.
So anyway, it was cool. I get to see my nephew probably half a dozen times a year. So, he made the trip over to give me a hand and I much appreciate it. And like I said, and he brought me a commemorative or tribute to Lemmy shirt
Nice.
From the Rainbow. He ordered a Motorhead Rainbow official shirt, and he brought that to me too. So he came bearing gifts yesterday.
Right, that's great.
So he enjoys the show. He listens.
Would he mind being my nephew for a while?
Well, he sort of was. He sent you a Lemmy figure.
He did. It's right here.
See, he thought of you and sent that to you.
Yeah, I know, but he could have bought a tent and taken the arms out or the windows out of it and sent it to me as a shirt.
Sure.
Lemmy tent.
Exactly. So all good. And, I'm kind of just enjoying just having 4 days to myself just to hang, man. It's just, I don't know, man. I just enjoy just having the leisure time to just do things that I need to do or want to do and not feel, pressured by a schedule or anything. And, I appreciate those times off, but then again, because of the reason we have, the long weekend is I appreciate the freedoms we still have left in this country, and I'll enjoy that as long as it still exists.
Absolutely. Hell yeah! I'm fixing something. Don't mind me.
I kind of noticed. I noticed
keep going.
You're working over there, working the controls.
Yeah, I fucked something up.
Oh no!
I know. I am a useless piece of shit when it comes to this shit.
That's all right. But yeah, I was in the studio a little bit earlier, making sure all the settings were right and making sure that I figured out what the problem with the mic was is that
Oh
I
yeah.
I had dusted my board here. I cleaned up all the channels and everything, and there's a gain for output gain for the whole board that goes to the computer that's connected to you, and it was turned all the way up.
Right.
I was just like, what the hell happened here? And I figured out what it was. So I touched one of the controls and left it in full blast. So
Okay.
I think we're good now, right? Sound all
Sounds
right?
good to me.
All right, that's good. Perfect. So looking forward to a good show tonight. I've been watching I said this a week or so ago. I haven't been watching much TV, haven't watched much movies, haven't really turned the TV on at all. But I can't help myself but to turn on the Beverly Hills Cop, AXEL F.
AXEL F, yeah.
I had to watch it. I was really hesitant only because of the flop coming to America, and I was just like, oh, I hope this just doesn't fuck up this franchise.
Right.
And I watched Beverly Hills Cop 4 AXEL F, and it left me very neutral. It wasn't good. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It was nothing. I was very flat on it.
Okay.
It wasn't disappointing, but it wasn't overwhelming either. So I just was sort of like had a very neutral reaction to it. It wasn't unbearable. It wasn't stupid. It didn't make me go, ugh. But the only thing that was just disturbing about it was Judge Reinhold.
Why?
Holy shit.
He looks old.
I would have never recognized that guy.
Oh, come on. He looks like him.
We didn't. It was just like, holy cow. That's Judge Reinhold. Oh, and Kevin Bacon. Holy shit.
Now, Kevin Bacon looked really old in this.
It's like
and to be honest about Kevin Bacon, I think a little plastic has been done.
Oh, yeah. But that was tough to look at. I was just like, holy shit, this is the Footloose guy. This is the Tremors guy.
Right.
This is just like, woof. Wow. But overall, movie kind of neutral.
I guess I liked it better than you. I liked it. I mean, I didn't.
Go ahead.
I didn't. If I was rating them, it's number 3 of 4.
Okay.
It wasn't as bad. Beverly Hills Cop 3 was a bag of shit.
Yeah, that was a bag of shit. I agree.
That was terrible. This was better than that. And as much as I really don't like when they just wedge the old characters in there like they did with not Pierce, what's his name? Bronson Pinchot.
Yeah.
They just wedged that character in there and did the whole
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
Here.
They definitely wedged that into this movie.
Savage.
But I didn't hate it, and I'll tell you why I didn't hate it.
Okay.
Because I was expecting more of that. I was expecting another banana in another, like trying to stick a banana in an EV tailpipe or something and then making a joke like that.
Something ridiculous.
Something stupid.
Right.
And I liked the fact that it was a touch more serious, not now some of the driving problems that were going on in this thing.
Right. Well, they were trying to reenact the first Beverly Hills Cop with the tractor trailer and smashing cars and running through traffic and just creating mayhem on the streets.
Yeah, that was a little overboard. But when he's chasing down four-wheelers with a garbage truck, and come on, stop it.
Since when does a garbage truck have a snowplow on the front?
In Beverly Hills, or no, they're still in Detroit at the time, but still, yeah, I don't think it ever has had that. I think that was some new thing. But I mean, it was okay. It was cool to see those characters that most of them are still alive and still doing it. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. As much as you think Judge Reinhold looked old, I couldn't believe that the other guy was still alive.
Yeah, Taggart. I
don't know his real name, but. And he still kind of looks like he did 30 years ago. Really,
he almost looks better because he's like thinner and he doesn't look like an old bloated dude. He's thinner, and he actually looked better in this movie than he did years ago. But yeah, I agree with you that the fact that he was in the movie, but yeah, it was just, again, I didn't dislike it, I didn't hate it, I didn't think it was garbage, but it didn't leave me with anything spectacular. And yeah, and the only weird thing is where did the daughter come from?
Yeah, I don't remember there being a daughter.
There wasn't. That's what I'm saying. It's just like, I understand this is 30 years later, but there's no explanation where the daughter came from. So, who's her mother and what relationship was, Eddie Murphy in, and, all that. I mean, they did touch on it that she was born in Detroit and he had to move her to Beverly Hills to keep her safe from some of the bad guys he was investigating. But regardless of that kind of was like a loose end. I guess you just had to figure out for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was okay. I didn't hate it. I didn't like you. I didn't hate it, didn't love it. I think I liked it probably a little better than you. I might watch it a second time to pick up the stuff I didn't fully pay attention to, but after 2 watches, I'll be officially done with it.
Right, of course. And the other one, the other thing is the whole Kevin Bacon character. Here's a cop that seemingly is widely known to be corrupt, and nobody seems to know it.
Yeah, it was a little obvious, wasn't he? Wearing the Rolex watch and the $1,000 suit,
and
$1,000 shoes.
Everybody's vouching for him, and all this other stuff, and it's just like, and it's very easily traced or uncovered, as it were, and yet nobody knows about it. It's like they're totally oblivious to his connection to the crime world and the cartel, and that he's behind a lot of the corruption that goes on, and nobody seems to realize, hey, he could possibly be part of this whole organization.
He must have done well in penny stocks.
that was a little bit of a weird thing.
Yeah, well, dude, any of these movies anymore, the saddest part about the whole fucking thing is that how come these guys cannot make anything new? Was every good idea 40 years ago and there just aren't anymore?
There's nothing new under the sun. All good ideas are gone.
They're done. Dude, I keep seeing movie posters about coming soon stuff, and it's all old shit.
Right.
It's all Nightmare on Elm Street Returns or fucking, Jason 36. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah, there's no new creativity. There's nothing that, I don't know. Maybe it's just like they're just relying on the old stuff to hopefully get some kind of an audience. But maybe it's the younger people don't pay for that kind of stuff. They don't have any interest in that. They're still relying on guys in our age group to support that kind of stuff because we're the guys with making money and have money to spend, or we'll watch that kind of a thing. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, how much do you think they spent to make that movie? To be on Netflix?
Well, let's see here. They got Eddie Murphy in there, obviously. That's
25-30 million.
All right. And then the stunts weren't cheap. I mean, because obviously they filmed this in Beverly Hills and they filmed that in Detroit, and they destroyed some vehicles, and they, that wasn't all CGI or anything. A lot of that was real. So there was, capital investment there. Yeah. So
plus those 3 stars probably held them hostage for money too.
Yeah.
In order to come back, because Paul Reiser, I was surprised he came back. He was fucking 1,000 years old as well. Jesus Christ.
How is it that he bypassed Foley to become the captain?
Well, because Axel's had all those problems.
I know, but it's just kind of funny because he was Axel's lackey.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was his lackey. He didn't know what was going on. He just did whatever Axel told him to do, and he covered for Axel and everything throughout the series. He was just sort of a flunky.
Look, stop letting absurdity get in the way of a good movie. Stop it.
Yeah, I agree. Wow. Paul Reiser was tough. Yeah, well, see, I was going in the $100 million budget. area.
That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
A lot of money for something people are going to watch once and then go right back to their, hey, here's a documentary on some other family that got murdered in their house.
Right. I know. But yeah, that's not surprising. Just the salaries alone. And then, like I said, the action scenes and things, not cheap.
No, definitely not.
And then obviously the actual production and the distribution and everything that goes in, that's involved with that. It's just, that's not surprising. $150 million, not surprising.
No, not at all. But
so
whatever, I'm with you. I enjoyed it. I was glad I watched it. I'm glad I didn't wait up to watch it until midnight.
I didn't either. The only reason I remembered to watch it is because my nephew mentioned it to me. He goes, "Oh yeah, don't forget the new Beverly Hills Cop."
And you're like, what?
So when he took off home last night, I said, well, you know what? I'm going to settle in and watch this damn thing. So,
yeah.
So I did.
Yeah. Not terrible.
Yep. Not great. Not terrible.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of neutral on it. Not
sure.
I didn't think it stunk. I didn't think it was great.
No, I'm with you. Of course, I spent today watching the only July 4th movie that matters.
And that would be
Jaws.
Jaws,
the only July 4th movie ever that was worth a damn.
Right? So did you watch the original?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what prompted you to do that?
July 4th weekend.
Okay.
I watch it every July 4th weekend.
Okay. Well, I wasn't aware this was a forsaken tradition.
Dude, I love shark movies anyway.
Okay.
I really am a sucker for a shark movie. But how like the world calls the Die Hard's a Christmas movie. I'm the same way with Jaws being the July 4th because Jaws was over July 4th weekend.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
And it's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's honestly, other than the Godfather series, it's probably the most watched movie I have in my collection.
Okay,
I have probably watched Jaws 1,000 times.
Really? No kidding.
I love it, and it's weird watching it now when you see that big, dumb, fake-looking shark because it looks, even the bad CGI of six-headed shark looks better than that shark. but man, I can't stop watching it, man.
Well, you were 7 years old when that came out, right?
Oh yeah, and my parents took me to the movie theater to see it when I was 7. I was scared to death of the fucking ocean forever. The worst part about it was my grandparents lived on the ocean.
Okay.
They lived in Rhode Island. And
they were on the East Coast. Mm-hmm. So not likely see a shark on the East Coast. But
yeah, but when you're 7, you don't know that.
Right, of course.
When you're 7, you're...
All you know is it's the ocean.
When you're 7, all you're doing is you're walking out, meanwhile, it's like 1.5 foot of water. It's to your knees as a 7-year-old. It's not deep. But you're like looking at the water, hoping that you don't see a shark. Like, oh my God, I'm going to get bit. And you try to come running out and your mom yells at you, get back in the water.
Right. Stop being such a pussy.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
And then my dad would come out there, just fling us into the water because he knew we were scared of the water.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I was scared. I was scared of the ocean pretty much from the beginning because they took me to see Jaws when I was like 7 or whatever.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting since we're talking about movies and ideas and things that had large impact and so on and so forth. The movies that seem to have an everlasting impact on the social psyche of the U.S. anyway are, obviously Jaws, because it scared the living shit out of everybody who saw it. Right. And then what is that? The Exorcist.
Oh yeah, sure.
And The Exorcist, people passed out from that movie and stuff, and we're just like so, freaked out about it. Mm-hmm. And then Carrie, the movie Carrie.
Oh, Carrie, yeah, with the blood.
And those were all like mid to late 70s movies. Mm-hmm. Then obviously Star Wars, that franchise is still going on after 50 plus years.
Yeah.
But
it's still going on.
Well, regardless, but Star Wars is in the lexicon of
sure.
Everybody, everybody knows what Star Wars is, whether you're a fan or, young or old. Everybody knows what Star Wars is.
Dude, the 70s, other than Star Wars, going back to the other movies, the 70s was just out there to scare the shit out of you about everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you had Jaws. If that didn't scare you out of the ocean, then you had the Poseidon Adventure,
right,
which scared the shit out of you out of taking a cruise. Then you're like, oh, I'm going to stay on land. All right, stupid. Then we're going to give you the Towering Inferno, and you're going to be trapped in a burning building.
Sure.
You know,
and then the what was it? The one that they made the spoof from the Airplane movie.
Oh, Airport 77.
That's it. Yes, they had two of them, right? Airport 75 and Airport 77, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so a couple mid 70s to late 70s movies again.
And then if that wasn't enough to scare you, then they got you with the nuclear power. What was that one? Network?
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Exactly. So, yeah, all the tragic things that could happen to you and scare the shit out of you, especially if you were an impressionable young person watching these movies, you know.
And of course, my parents were the typical parents of the time that were like, we're going to the movies. You're going to sit there and you're going to shut up. You know, they weren't renting a babysitter. They were just like, you're going.
Yeah.
Keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
Don't make any noise. Here's a fucking bucket of popcorn. Now shut up.
Sit back and enjoy it, bitch.
Yeah. I can remember, dude, the one that was I remember we went to this was probably 75, 76. I forget when it came out. But we went as a family to see King Kong.
Okay.
The one where he climbed not the Empire State Building, the Trade Center.
Right.
And when they shot him off the top of that thing, sorry for the spoiler, people, but it's been 50 years.
Right.
You know, when they shot him and he fell off the building and died, I remember my brother, who was like 5 years old or something at the time, started screaming in the theater.
Oh,
he was like, "You said you want to kill him!" He was screaming. Everybody in the whole fucking theater. Oh my God. Everybody in the whole theater was like looking at us. We're like, oh my God, you know,
right.
Just embarrassed as hell. My mom had to rush him out.
That's growing up in a very conservative Christian household, that was one thing that I never was able to experience, is going to the movie theater. You know, that was not a thing.
Not even in high school?
No.
Oh, wow.
No, when I the first movie, and I know I've said this on the show before, but the first movie I ever saw was The Wildlife.
Oh, wow.
With Christopher Penn and Eric Stoltz and
Jesus Christ, that was what, late 80s?
No, that was 85, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, that was 85.
Man.
84 or 85, somewhere around there. Yep.
Dude, the movie theater, especially in high school, that was the place. That was what we did pretty much every Friday. We would go. It's now the Kent Stage, but back then it was the Kent Theater.
Right.
You know, we used to go there pretty much every single Friday night. That was what we all did. You know, I lived right on the border of Kent and Streetsboro, like literally right on the border there off of Diagonal Road. And I know that means nothing to most of you, but but before I had a car, we used to walk there. It was like a 2-mile walk, 3 mile walk. We would walk over to the theater, and or eventually someone had a car and we'd pile in like 8 people into a Kia or a Metro or whatever, a Geo Metro, whatever it was. You know, but I just remembered we used to just fuck it up in there. We'd buy candy and start flinging candy around as soon as the lights went down. And I used to sneak in, like if we were seeing a horror movie, I would sneak in a squirt bottle of ketchup and I would just squeeze it real hard at random parts so that people thought it was like blood landing. And people would just start screaming in the theater. Ah!
Yeah. Yeah, I remember, the big deal that people always talked about was attending the late night showings of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And they'd bring all their crap with them to throw at the screen,
their toast and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Dress up as the characters and stuff like that.
I only did Rocky Horror once. I did not dress up. I just went once, and I don't know. It came off as kind of dumb to me.
Well, again, it's sort of like a, one of those group participation things. It's just kind of a dumb cult thing,
Yeah, I didn't dig it. I mean, I went with a bunch of people, but none of us really were. I guess we weren't into it, and we weren't really drunk or anything. I think you got to be drunk to do it.
Yeah, well, again, it's one of those goofy things. I mean, the movie itself, if you ever watched the movie, it's not a good movie.
No, it's terrible.
It's just a goofy cult classic that people kind of gravitated to just because of the quirkiness of it, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I knew people who would participate in that kind of stuff, and they would go and, we're going to go to the midnight showing of Rocky Horror Picture Show, just that kind of crazy shit.
Right. Yeah, no, we used to go, like I said, every Friday, and man, you want to, I mean, that was like the glory days of movies, really.
Right, of course.
You had all the really good horror stuff was all hitting at that time. All the iconic stuff, Jason Voorhees, and Mike Myers, and Freddy Krueger,
right?
All that was coming at that time. But so were all the chick flicks too. All the 16 Candles, Breakfast Club,
the John Hughes movies.
Yeah, all that stuff. All right in the time. I was in high school from 82 to 86.
Right.
That's right in the wheelhouse of the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was cheap. I think tickets for the movies were like $1.50 at the time or something. So you could dig through I can remember many times digging through my couch, just digging up quarters that fell out of my dad's pockets or whatever, and having enough to go to the movies. And,
right.
Go to that movie theater. That was our Saturday or our Friday.
Yeah. Well,
and after that, go to McDonald's.
Right.
Buy a cheeseburger for 39 cents. Because you're trying to cover the smell of the beer that you were drinking.
Nice. Yeah, our hang for the high school years, mostly between being a sophomore and a senior, because I had I'd bought a car when I was a sophomore,
right?
And it was cruising up on Arlington Road and Waterloo Road through the A&W and the McDonald's and around the Parasons and.
Oh, Parasol,
up around there, that was where the hang was. And then a guy that was in my class, his family owned a entertainment complex down on Arlington Road called Starcher's Pool Hall.
Okay.
It was 24-hour pool hall, and it had, batting cages there and, obviously pool tables and jukebox, and, you could buy, vended food there and things like that. And we played pool till like 4:30 in the morning, on like a Friday night or Saturday night. And, I'd be sneaking in the house at, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, during the summertime,
Sure.
And that would just freak my mom out all the time, because my mom and dad would be up eating breakfast at 5:30 or 6, because my dad would be getting ready to go to work, and I had an outside door that led into my bedroom. I could actually walk outside from my bedroom,
right?
And I would try to just eke the door open and try to sneak in, and she'd pull that door open. Is that you just coming in?
No, Mom, going out.
Yep.
Getting the paper.
Yep. Getting my morning walk in.
That's right. Too funny.
Yeah.
Dude, I miss those times were so innocent and easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I mean, we were such clockwork. We used to go on Friday night. We would do movies. On Saturday afternoon, we would walk back to Kent and we would go to the arcades. There was like 2 or 3 arcades in Kent, and we would just go to the arcade. And none of us had any money. It's not like any of us were doing it. Like, one person would have like $5.
Right.
And we would somehow find a way to make that last a full day, plus get a couple of hot dogs each. And, somehow you did it. I don't know how, but, and we would go. And then maybe we'd sneak onto the golf course that used to be over there in Kent. I don't remember the one over by Kent Roosevelt.
Okay.
That's not there anymore, but it used to be. A lot of times we'd sneak on there and, just hang out or steal flags or
right.
whatever.
Yeah. Well,
just stupid shit.
Yeah. Fortunately, my friends that I hung out with, they all had cars, they all had jobs. Sure. We all were working, as sophomores at 16 years old.
Right.
And we all had cars. And, to leave the house at 10 o'clock on a Friday night, and meet up with your friends and stay out till 3 and 4 in the morning, that was nothing. And all of us had money. We all had money because we were working.
No.
We all had jobs.
Sure.
So being able to go to the arcades or go wherever it is that we needed to go, we always had a couple of bucks in our pocket.
I always had a job, but I was never allowed to have the money. Like for the first couple of years, when I was like 12, 13, 14, I worked over at the church. And I still remember I made $120 a month, cutting grass, weeding flower beds, whatever. But my mom would take that money and put it in the bank. She'd say, you have to learn to save. Here's $10. She'd give me 10 and put the rest of it in a bank.
Right.
And then meanwhile, then I would just save it up for a while and I'd buy a stereo or whatever. Then I would just blow through all of it anyway, just not that day. But but she never let me have that money. And then by the time I got to be in about, I don't know, maybe 15, that's when I was allowed to start having my money myself. But that's when I started taking that $120 and turning it into $500 worth of selling weed.
Right.
And I was like, all right, I'll buy $120 worth of weed and I'll roll it and I will be selling joints, my friend.
Right.
At high school.
Yeah, you're out there brokering your weed business.
I really was. There was a lot of brokering going on just past the gate there at Old Streetsboro High School. I would literally, you guys have to kind of picture it, but there was a gate that they closed. I don't even remember why they closed it sometimes, but they closed it sometimes. It led right to a neighborhood. Sure. And you would drive out the gate and then you would just kind of go right, almost immediately you would take a hard right to a street. And there was like a neighborhood right there. And I used to park my car just far enough up the road from the high school that I was not in sight of the high school. And I would sell pot at lunchtime. I would keep the pot in my my whatchamacallit, what do you call that? The thing in the front seat, the space that has a little knob.
The little console box.
Yeah, whatever that's called, the glove compartment.
Okay.
I would keep it in the glove compartment so that if I ever got stopped, I knew enough not to let them, not enough to say, hey, yeah, I'm selling weed.
Right.
I would just keep it in there and people knew it and they would just come up and say, hey, man, got any fucking joints?
Yeah. Hey,
yes.
Man, you holding?
Yeah, I certainly am.
What
certainly am. What do you want? Yeah, what you want? 2 joints, 3 joints, $10.
Yeah.
$10.
You're like the Jay and Silent Bob of your era.
I really, but that was how I always had money, was because I parlayed. Dude, I think that's how I learned to be an independent business person.
Right, of course.
Because I was in business for myself from the time I was 15 years old.
You're industrious, selling illicit products.
Yeah, never got busted either. Not one time.
But they weren't looking for that out in the suburbs.
Nah, they didn't care. I don't even think my parents cared. My parents, they sort of knew, and they tried to bust me out here and there for pot or whatever. I'm pretty sure they were smoking pot too. So there were definitely times that they went out and they came home and they were just like, hey, what's up? Eyes all red and half baked. I was like, hey, what's up?
You're the poster boy for that anti-drug commercial. It's like, where did you get this? Where did you learn this? I learned it from you, Dad.
I learned it from you. That's such a fucking dumb commercial.
Thinking about that. Yeah, there we go. Yep.
I really was.
Yep. So the other, thinking back now about, how different things are these days as far as, the way we do things. When I was in high school,
mm-hmm.
they had a place outside the cafeteria for the smoking area.
Wow, in high school?
In high school.
No kidding.
Yeah. If you were a smoker, I think you had to be 18 though, because I was 18 when I graduated. So I think you had to be 18. But they had a smoking area
No
outside
kidding.
of the cafeteria. So if you were a smoker, you could go out there and stand in the smoking circle,
Right.
and smoke if you wanted to. So yeah, and I remember the school had a component which was the JVS, which
Okay.
the joint vocational school.
Yeah.
And the people at the joint vocational school, if they were learning a craft, they didn't have a full day of school. They went there and they accomplished whatever.
Yeah, they were gone at 10 o'clock to go to work.
They were gone. Yeah, exactly. So they didn't even have a full day of school. They would just show up. They would do whatever it is they had to do, their assignment or whatever it was that they had.
The one math class or whatever they had to take. Yeah.
And they were done. Yeah. It was kind of wild. And yeah, I remember taking a tour of the JVS and when it just opened, it was brand new. And it was a consideration whether I might consider going there or just continue with the traditional high school. And the students who were already there, I mean, they had like a diesel class there because I was interested in automotives and things, and they were smoking while they were working on the cars and the engine and shit. It's like, holy shit, what kind of a there was a free for all over there.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it was the same with our school too. I mean, we did not have a smoking area though. Smoking, I can remember our principal just walking through the halls, busting people that smelled like cigarettes.
Right.
He would just kind of stand there, Mr. Garrick. He was a big monster, and he would stand in the hallway, and he would just watch people walking by. And if you smelled like cigarettes, he'd be like, "Come here, you." And he'd literally frisk you right on the spot. And if he found cigarettes, he took them off you. And then you got a 1 day in school suspension or whatever. Sure. And it was always the same kids that were in suspension all the time.
Right, of course.
Because they always were, either getting high or smoking cigarettes or both. Probably usually both.
Right.
It was always the same like 10 kids.
Yeah.
Always in trouble.
I remember, during lunch, you could leave the school grounds during lunch and you could drive and go to the local McDonald's or whatever and go have lunch or whatever. There's just as long as you were back by,
your next class.
Yeah, exactly. So that was no problem either. But yeah, if you were 18, in school, because I turned 18 in December and I graduated in June, so I was 18 for 6 months in high school. And if you were 18 in high school, you could go smoke. You could drive, leave the lot for lunch. You could just sign yourself out if you wanted to or whatever, because as an adult, you had those liberties as a high school kid.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's like that anymore.
No, now it's like they just see you breathing the wrong way and they want to bust you for everything. And they want to tell you it's not your fault, it's your parents. And,
right, of course. But, the thing is, at least from what I remember, people acted responsibly as an adult, quote unquote.
Well, yeah, I guess.
The people that I witnessed, I'm just talking about, my personal experience. I'm not saying people didn't abuse the privilege, if you will, but for the most part, everybody was pretty civil about it and kind of respected the boundaries and understood that as given this privilege as a now adult of 18, you kind of handle yourself as an adult.
Yeah, it sounds like your school was not as white trash as mine.
No, it was a more upper scale suburban school, so it was, people kind of acted accordingly.
Yeah, well, Streetsboro was definitely white trash central, still is. and dude, every year we had an abundance of guys that were getting high all the time. Every class had 3 or 4 chicks having babies, every year. Every year there was at least 2, maybe 3, sometimes 4 chicks that in each class that had a kid.
Right.
It was white trash central. I know that.
Well, I watch those Code Blue Cam videos. Streetsboro must have have a monopoly on that, because a lot of them take place in Streetsboro.
Yeah.
And it always happens at the Walmart over there.
Oh yeah.
You know, all I hear is some kind of a problem at the Walmart, and it's always some trash person over there, and just causing a ruckus of some kind, or shoplifting, or getting into some kind of altercation with somebody, or being drunk, or being stoned, or it's crazy. This is like, because I don't even know what it is I'm going to watch. I'm just watching these code blue cams, and Streetsboro comes up all the time.
Oh yeah, Streetsboro's a disaster area.
It is.
It's really not a good area at all, and it's worse now because it's really been overtaken by meth now. Now, I haven't seen any of the cam shows like that, but I'd imagine quite a few of those are meth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a mess, man. It's just like, it's sad to see, but this is just the environment we live in.
Sal, how much fucking was going on at that school? Lots. Lots, especially when I was known as the pot dealer. I've told those stories many times, Sal. It was not above me at all to trade fucking joints for blowjobs. I used to do that quite often.
Right.
I was probably break even half the time on the money that I invested in the pot, because I was always trading it to the girls.
Right.
A lot of girls, I'd be like, hey, you looking for? They'd come up to me, hey, you got any weed? Yeah, how much? I'd be like, $20. I only got 10. Well, we can work that out.
Right.
And we'd go right in the woods.
Yeah.
Right in the woods,
I'm not going to get your mouth pregnant. So
that's right. We go right in the woods and pull my dick out. Here you go, honey.
Start sucking.
Get some practice smoking right here.
Right, exactly. Get those lips wet.
That's right. Miss those days. Man, that was a good time.
Yeah. So, let's see. You're 57? 55?
Yep.
All right. So you're 55. Let's see here. To do some math here. So let's see, 20 to 30 to 40 to 50. That was 35, 36, 37 years ago.
Thanks.
37 years ago since you had a good time.
Yeah.
Except when you went to Korea.
Well, Korea was another. Jesus Christ.
That was taking it up a notch or two.
Korea was getting it all in for the rest. Thank God I did that. Thank God that I did that, because really Korea should have been, if you divided it out by like 15 years, that's about what it should have been. But I just got it all into like 2 years.
You just packed it all in.
I just did. Holy smokes, that was fucking nutty times. But dude, it's funny. I was talking to a buddy that I was in Korea with over the holiday. We got on the phone. We hadn't talked in a while. We were just shooting the shit. And he was like, to me, he's like, dude, can you believe we're both still alive? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, do you remember this? And he brought up this one time that we were stumbling drunk in the streets, and he got hit by a car in the street. He got hit and he got knocked down, but not hurt.
Right.
Somehow. And I went around the car and I pulled the guy out of his car and beat the shit out of him right there in the middle of the street.
Right.
And then he got up and started kicking him too. It's like, and then we ran, once we heard a siren, we were like, fuck this. And we ran. But he was like, dude, if we did that today, somebody would have had a gun and shot us.
Oh yeah, of course.
And it's like, yeah, that is so very fucking true, man. But
it was different time back then.
It was, man. I mean, everything about Korea. I think about the Korean stuff not as often as I used to, but I don't know how I got through some of that stuff. Some of the partying and waking up and not knowing what the fuck I did. I mean, like true blackout.
Yeah, it was the whole blackout drunk.
And I mean, early blackout. Like we used to party in my room from like 7:00 at night, like because I would get off late. My room was always the party room because I had a stereo. So everybody on a Friday would get off work and they would come to my room. Well, I wasn't back yet because by the time I dropped off the general and whatnot, you know, because he didn't work on a clock. He worked until he was done working, and I just had to wait for him.
Right.
So usually we would get done about by the time I dropped him off and then went back to the barracks and parked my car in the place that I had to keep that car, and, you know, because that car had to be secured and all this other shit. About 7 o'clock, I'd get back to the room. So I would go from dead sober at 7 o'clock to waking up the next morning and not remembering. And people would be like, dude, we had a fucking great time last night, right? Like, what? And they're like, yeah, man, don't you remember? We were down at the heavy metal club and we were doing this and that. And you said this and you punched that guy in the face. And I'm like, I'd look, my hands would be all fucking bloodied and broken. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. And I don't remember none of it.
Right.
That fucking soju was a monster. I did some partying, that's for sure, man.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, you know what always surprised me, and I know you've told the story on the show, and of course wrote a book about it and everything. It's just that with all the, you know, camaraderie you had with your bros and you know, the fun you were having, the running around and stuff. I'm just really amazed that you just decided that marriage was for you.
You know what, dude? I am too.
I mean, it just does not fit with there. You went from being party guy to just running around being wild and crazy and, you know, enjoying the camaraderie of your friends and your you know,
dude,
you know,
I know what you're saying.
And all of a sudden it's just like, I got to do everything in my power to be with this woman.
I was just dumb. Dude, I still remember it was so fucking dumb. We were having an organizational day where they would just get us all together. It was like an off day, but it was during the week. And they would bring this big old trailer full of beer, just beer and ice. And when I say trailer, I mean like you would drag behind a horse. Like a trailer of just an empty trailer full of beer, a wagon, but a big one, big enough to keep 50 people drunk all day long. And I just still remember, man. I mean, I was out there partying. I was, of course, parked right next to the beer. It was me and my buddy Rosecrans, and we were just standing there. And we were pounding drinks at like 10 o'clock in the morning or whatever it was, because the organization day started in the morning. And I remember I caught a pretty good buzz immediately, and that was the first time I saw Georgetta. And, you know, because she had just got into the country like the day before or whatever, and she was being led by somebody that didn't like me especially. And I remember I saw her, and I was a little bit fucked up, and I looked at Rosecrans, and I said, I swear to God, I'm going to marry that chick. And he's like, oh, shut the fuck up. You're fucking being an idiot. You know, and I don't know, man. I don't know if it was the combination of booze or whatever, but I don't know. Dude, it's so funny you bring it up because I literally talked to her today about some of our marital shit today.
Oh, you spoke to the ex?
Yeah, we were on the phone today.
Wow.
And we were kind of joking about some of that stuff, and it's true. You know, it's like, you know, there's a lot of reasons we got married that weren't good. You know, like honestly, the biggest reason we got married was so we could date. We wanted to keep dating. But because we had only been dating like 4 months when I left Korea.
Right.
But we wanted to keep dating, but she came down on orders to a different base. I came down on orders to Texas, and she came down on orders to Fort Ord, California. So we weren't going to be able to be together, so we had to fly her in on a weekend. We flew her in, got married over a weekend, and then petitioned to be, you know, married couple and get our orders changed. And we did. So then we got married so we could date, and almost immediately we figured out, man, we should break up. But it was too late at that point. And then it wasn't that much longer. I mean, that was 89. My daughter was born in 90, so it was just, no bagging it. It was like, oh, I'm married now. Now I can just fuck like a fucking idiot. So, so then we had a kid, and then, then life is going.
Yeah, then you're in deep.
Yeah, then you got a kid, and then you had 2 more, and then I got blown up, and before we knew it, we were 10, 11 years in, and it's like, do we fuck up the kids, or what do we do?
Right. Yeah, sure.
And then we just were like, well, we don't like each other, but we'll keep trying to make it work. And, we both told the same lies. We both told each other the same lies of, well, we'll try this, and this will make it better. Let's go on a vacation together. Let's do this together. Let's,
Yeah, I get you.
It just wasn't smart. I really, maybe that's why I'm so obsessed watching these Chris Watts things, because I watch it. I'm like, glad I didn't do that, but I certainly get it.
Yeah, I could see myself doing that.
I could. I hate to be that blunt about it, but there were definitely moments in that, in my marriage where, and these were the same for her. She's told me that there were times that she saw me asleep and she thought about grabbing a knife and just fucking killing me.
Right.
So we both had that. We both,
sure.
we both had that level of not liking each other for a long fucking time. But then we did. And it's weird because like we talked today, and I probably shouldn't be bringing this up on the air, but I'm going to. I don't give a fuck. We both said, like even today, we both still kind of care about each other. Not in the sense of, hey, let's get back together, because no. But we still do give a shit about each other and whatnot.
Sure.
And I think that part was real. I just think that there are certain personalities you should not be with.
Right.
And me and her were 2 alphas. I joked with her today that whenever we had a problem that was like she had one side, I had another, it wasn't there was no compromise. There was dig a hole, put razor wire around it, line it with claymores, because there's no giving in. It's fight to the death.
Right.
And that's what we did about everything. It's like, I want to order a pizza. Well, we can't afford fucking pizza. Well, yes, we fucking can. Now I'm buying 2. It was like that instead of like, okay, well, then we won't have pizza.
Right.
Today it would be.
There's no compromise. It's
none.
I'm going to rule the roost here.
Yeah. A dumb argument like that every couple has and 99.9% of the couples could do would be me figuring out that I got $150 in the bank and I would buy $150 worth of pizza.
Right.
Just to fucking stick it up her ass. That was how I was. And she was the same way. She was the exact same way. It just wasn't meant to be.
Right. Of course.
But anyway, enough of that, because we got guests probably waiting in the other wings.
All right. Well, we do have a guest coming up here. We'll be talking to Tanner Poppet.
We will, yes.
And he's got a new documentary out there that features the early thrash band Heretic.
That's right.
And it's called "Don't Turn Your Back," the Heretic film, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And
the story of
Heretic. Talk
Heretic.
to him and find out a little bit about it. I did watch it. Kind of reminded me of Inside Metal, a Bob Nalbandian production in a lot of ways.
Sure.
And I appreciated it only because I am a huge Metal Church fan, and the tie-in with Metal Church is huge, especially when it involves David Wayne and Mike Howe.
And Vanderhoof. Which kind of spurred me to think of some questions to ask. So yeah, no, this is going to be great. And I guess Angelo from the band is going to be with us as well tonight. So
right.
So this should be good.
Okay. Well, since you brought up the wife and the former wife and all that kind of stuff, I thought maybe I would play this Reverend tune.
All right. We're just going to do one and come back?
That's up to you. You tell me.
Let's do that. Let's just do one and come back.
All right. Well, I'm going to play a Reverend tune featuring David Wayne on lead vocal. This was from the World Won't Miss You.
Okay.
And Chris is in remission from hating the ex-wife. so here it is. This is Reverend with Remission exclusively here
on your classic, and I do mean classic, metal show.
The true hub for Chris Aiken Presents is their website, www.chrisaiken.net. You can watch all live episodes of the show live, participate in the chat as well. You can get past shows in both audio and video on demand formats. Join Eric Ferentinos' VIP Facebook group right from our page. Bookmark it today. www.chrisaiken.net. That's CHRISAKIN.